Welcome back, HC Nation. Thank you so much for joining us on this Adventure Box podcast. This is all brought to you by Historical Conquest, which is a really fun game. You don't need to know anything about history to play it, but you're going to learn a ton just by having fun. You don't have to worry about trying to remember things, no names, no dates, doesn't matter. You're just going to play, and you're actually going to learn and retain the information that you're getting just by gameplay. So it's a lot of fun. Try it out. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about a new unit, this one. Last time we were talking about the War of 1812. Now we're going on to what? The Westward expansion. That's right. So I promised you I'd talk about the Westward expansion. And so here we are. Now we're going to be talking about three things, but I got to do it. Just because we put it in the script and my team wanted me to say this, but you know what? I was very much questioning it. Howdy, partner. Howdy, time travelers. Welcome back to the History Unfolded, the podcast where we hitch our wagons packed with beef jerky and head straight into the past to explore the wild, rugged, and sometimes downright muddy roads of early American history. Today we're talking land. Not just any land. This one is 828,000 square miles of land bought for you for pennies per the acre from a guy who never even set foot there. Now, we're going to talk about who he was in just a bit, but we're going to tell you a little bit about, what are we talking about? The Louisiana Purchase. That's number one. First thing we're going to be talking about, the Louisiana Purchase in 1803, and how Thomas Jefferson, not Jefferson Davis, wow, he's a little bit later, and he's in the Civil War, and he's in the opposite side. Let's go to Thomas Jefferson. Doubled the size of the country, all the United States, which was only about 20 states. Now it's going to be double the size, not the double the states, double the size, because there won't even be states on that piece of land for a little while. We're going to talk about that more on Wednesday. Now, this was just one deal, and it was set up between two guys to go figure out what he just bought, basically. So two guys were supposed to go out into the wilderness and try to figure out what was just purchased. The second thing we're going to be talking about is the gritty, not so glamorous pioneer life. You know, the real Oregon Trail vibe, minus the pixels. Oh, you don't know what I'm talking about? You will when we get there. Okay, so grab onto your canteens, lace up your boots, and let's go exploring. Okay, so first, let's talk about the big buy. It's the Louisiana Purchase. Let's set the scene. In 1803, Thomas Jefferson, a president of the United States, purchased this. He did something, well, okay, let me tell you a little bit more about this. Okay, so the U.S. stretched from the Atlantic to the Pacific River. Sorry, no, not to the Pacific River. No, it stretched to the Missouri. Nope, wasn't even there. It was the Mississippi River. That's right. That was how small it was. Atlantic to the Mississippi River. Then there was the Missouri. Then there's the Pacific. Yeah, we started way over here. So beyond that, beyond the Mississippi River, it was wild, unmapped, unclaimed by foreign powers. Though some like to say that they owned it. Now, France owned what they called the Louisiana Territory. Yes, that France was run by none other than Napoleon Bonaparte. You know, the puffy wigs, fancy uniforms, and all that. But Napoleon got a little problem here. He got into a war with Britain, and he needed money. So, when he was expecting to come out to the Americas and take over a whole bunch of this land, because he actually liked that land, he got it back from the Spanish. The Spanish, they gave it to the Spanish back when the British beat them at the French and Indian War. But the French, they wanted it back. Napoleon, he wanted it back, so he made a deal with Spain. And he got that land back. And was hoping to move out, but because of that war, nope, they weren't able to do it. So they had to sell it. So he got a war brewing over in Europe, chaos in the Caribbean, and zero time to manage a massive piece of land in North America. And what happens when no one's there to to run it, to manage it? Well, then somebody else comes in and takes it over. So Napoleon, being a smart guy, he decided he was going to take over pass over some of that land in order for some money, because he wanted to win his war over in Europe. He was actually planning to take over most of Europe, much like the Romans tried to do, but he wasn't able to. So when Jefferson sends over diplomats to try to buy New Orleans, just the city of New Orleans, Napoleon surprised everyone. He said, how about I sell you the whole thing? All of it. And I'm going to sell it to you at a steal. Jefferson's like, okay, what's the catch? Napoleon says, no catch. $15 million, final offer. Boom, mic drop, done deal. Done deal, that's right. With that, the U.S. doubled the size overnight. That's like walking into a store to buy a pair of boots, and the clerk says, tell you what, I give you the whole store for just a few bucks. Well, the Louisiana Purchase, and actually, funny enough, I'm switching between voices here. Funny enough, it was actually the price of New Orleans was basically the price that they were going to pay for the whole thing. It was just a few dollars more, a few $1 million more. So, of course, Jefferson said, yeah, definitely. The problem was Jefferson didn't have the money, so he had to go borrow it from some other people, including Europe and people in the United States, but mostly Europe. So he gets the American land by borrowing money from those in the war. Great deal. Okay, so the Louisiana Purchase gave us land from the Mississippi River to the Rocky Mountains. Nope, it was not to the Pacific. It was just to the Rocky Mountains. From modern-day Louisiana all the way up to Montana. Let me show you a picture. There you go. There's a picture. Like it? Okay, I'll take it down. No, I'm just kidding. So this is the Louisiana Purchase. This is basically, funny enough, in the future, the size of Alaska, which was sold for about, what was it, $55 million? 52? Something like that. We're going to go over that when we get there. The Louisiana Purchase, $15 million. It's like, I raised that money for that. Whoo! I would have done that, no problem there. Now, here's the twist. Jefferson didn't really know what he bought. That's the great thing about it. No one did. No one had gone through and mapped out the place. So, he made some friends. Well, actually, he was actually working with, his name was, actually, I'm not quite sure. Which one was he working with? Was it Meriwether Lewis or was it William Clark? I think it was Meriwether Lewis. Meriwether Lewis. Okay. And then Meriwether Lewis was actually working with the military and asked William Clark to join him on this adventure. So there you go. You got two adventurous boys setting off toward the west. Now, Jefferson, curious as a cat in a cabinet shop, says, hey, Lewis, go check it out. Take Clark. Oh, so, yeah, okay. Yeah, so it was Lewis. Yeah. So, finds a water route to the Pacific, if you can. If you can't, okay, but try to find this waterway that gets us out there. Lewis says, sure, why not? Okay. And take notes, too. Don't just go around finding these places and don't be writing things down. Please, write things down and bring it back to us. Lewis is like, sure. So in 1804, Lewis and Clark head west. That's right. Their group is called the Corps of Discovery. It's a crew of 30 hardy men. Some maps, because nobody had a map that, and a dog named Seaman. He wasn't much of a seaman. He liked his land. And absolutely no idea what they were walking into. So their journey takes them up the Missouri River, across the Great Plains, and into the Rocky Mountains. But you know what? We can't just forget something that's really big. Oh, I'm going to get there in just a second. Along the way, they mapped unknown terrain, discovered over 100 new animal species, and described 173, 70, no, not 73, not 74, not 75, 178 new plants. They also, here's the great part, they befriended the Native American tribes out there. So, here's where it all begins. That's all. I thought you just said we were going to be at the end. No, no, no. It's the befriending that makes it all happen. They make a friend. Now, tell you a story. Well, I'm already telling you a story. I'm going to tell you a story inside of a story. So, this story is about a young lady. Now, she's about 6 years old. A tribe comes into the Shoshone Nation and kidnaps, well, defeats the tribe, kidnaps their daughter. One of the daughters, actually, there are probably plenty of them that came over, but one daughter in Pacific, whatever. She's a Shoshone woman. Well, she's a Shoshone girl. And brings her back over to the east side of Louisiana Purchase, where their tribe was. And they raised her. Then, to make some money, they sold her to a Frenchman. A Frenchman? What? Yeah, that's right. They sold her to a Frenchman. A French trapper. That French trapper was actually really good friends with that tribe. So they trusted him. Okay, that's okay thing. I mean, somewhat, if she loves him. Well, I don't know. Back then, it wasn't the same way as it is right now. But, you know, we'll just say that she loves him. So, Lewis and Clark, they come and meet up with this Frenchman. He says, hey, I'll be your tour guide. Tour guide. I'll be your guide. There we go. So he's going through, and he's like, I got one better than, it's not just me that's coming. It's my wife. Lewis and Clark go, why would we want your wife to come with us? She speaks the language of like every Native American tribe and on the way there. And we're going through Shoshone country. Okay. And she's Shoshone. Wait, I thought you just came from this tribe. No. They're adopted family. Well, kidnapped family. They're the adopted family. We're going to take Sacagawea, that's my wife, and we're going to go head off west. Well, I got one more thing to tell you about. They're like, okay, what's that? Well, she's pregnant too, and so she's going to have a baby somewhere on the trail. Yeah, it's my child, you know, pretty happy about that. And, you know, she's coming with us. Lewis and Clark said, sure, if she can keep up, no problem. So, there she goes. They start heading off throughout the Louisiana Purchase. Let me show you a picture of that. That'd probably be good. There she is, right there. That's Sacagawea. Pretty awesome woman there. So, fun fact for you, when native tribes saw a woman and a baby, what do you think they thought? They knew that the group wasn't a war party. Sacagawea's presence may have saved Lewis and Clark's necks multiple times. Many times. So, they make themselves scarce, start off in St. Louis, meet up with Sacagawea and the Frenchman, I can't remember his name, and no one does. I mean, we can look him up, but hey, you know, it's not as important as Sacagawea. She's the more important one. And they go down this... no. Wait a second. Both these have arrows going the wrong way. Oh, that's because that's a river. Okay. So they go up here and down into Oregon. Now, here's the big part. Haven't told you this yet. Remember, they only purchased the Louisiana Purchase. It stops right here. Oregon country, you know what that was owned by? That was owned by the British. Oh yeah, there's going to be a war to settle there. Okay, but that's not right now. Okay. So, they make their way all the way to the Pacific, and then they start heading back. They return in 1806. So it took them 2 years. 2.5 years later. They traveled nearly 8,000 miles. And while they didn't find this mythical water route to the Pacific, they brought back journals, maps, and stories galore. Tons of them. Woo! Okay. That's their story. So, that's a lot of hiking. Let's take a little breather and come back next. Nah, let's keep going. I'm not going to stop. Okay, spoiler alert. It wasn't all sunshine singing around the campfire. Nope. They actually had multiple times of disaster. People dying, people getting deserted, it was a mess. Okay. But what was the West? The West was a mess. Yeah, that's right. It was totally a mess. So, what did they have to do in order to conquer some of that land? So let's go back to the Louisiana Purchase. Little hiking back. There we go. Okay. So you got all these areas starting to be taken over by settlers, pushing out the Native Americans. Not a good thing. These people were owning this land and you're taking away. But you know what? That's what happens with all conquering civilizations. I mean, shoo, Romans, whoo, Greeks, whoo, Mesopotamia, Persia, China. I mean, you name it, they're all done. Africa, all over Africa. I mean, it still happens today in Africa. Well, they have actual countries right now, but there was a lot of tribes that were actually taken over. You know, there's still slavery in Africa. Ooh, not a good thing. Okay, so here we go. Let's get into the West. Why was the West so significant? Well, as you know, there's a lot of immigrants coming over from, say, Europe and Africa. Now they're starting to come over from China and from Russia. I mean, Russia is discovering, at this very moment, they're discovering up in Alaska. And they're taking some of those places over from the Native Americans as well. So, what are the settlers going to do here with more immigrants coming in from all these other places across the Atlantic? Well, they're going to want to expand west. They're going to try to find their own land. With the purchase of this Louisiana Purchase, oh, it was great. Okay, so early pioneers and wait. I got a question for you. So what kind of person chooses to head west into the land filled with wild animals, harsh weather, and basically no neighbors? Whoa, you know what? That'd actually be nice on. My neighbors are so nuts. Ooh. I set a fire in the backyard, and man, I was just burning a few pieces of wood. All of a sudden, I get the fire truck showing up. Now, funny enough, here's the funny story. Firemen show up. They walk around the fence line and try to get into my fence. Well, I'm back there right now. I mean, I'm watching the fire burn. And they come in, they knock, and I let them in. So they say, just so you know, one of your neighbors turned you in for burning building materials. Well, I burned a few boards, but a lot of sticks as well. Well, it was funny because the fire department looked up, and in his line of sight, where you could see the next two houses over, their patios. That's what it was. They're patios. And one of the neighbors was sitting on the patio, or standing on the patio, looking into what we were doing. Yeah, he's like, oh, I found your culprit. That was the police. That was the fireman. He actually pointed out the neighbor that turned us in. Holy cow, that wasn't that good. Okay, so, sorry, went on a rant. Let's go back to the question. So what kind of person chooses to head west into a land filled with wild animals, harsh weather, and no neighbors? I mean, no neighbors. Well, the answer is the brave ones. The ones that are adventurous. Maybe a little crazy. I'll tell you what. So, early pioneers, we had farmers, trappers, blacksmith, families, had all kinds of reasons to leave the east and head west. They had cheaper, free land. No, literally. There was times where they actually gave out free land. Acres of it. Oh, I want some of that. You can't get that now. Like $500,000 for a few acres. Holy cow. Whoa. Okay. They also had to escape the crowded cities. And the best one. Why do we have America? Independence, right? Liberty. Well, the dream of independence sent them west. In some cases, totally, they went for the adventure. That's right. Oh yeah, adventure everywhere in the West. So, they packed up everything into a covered wagon and started heading west. What'd they bring? Okay, so they would bring things like food, they bring tools, seeds, quilts, books, and some family butter churn, right? Oh yeah, you can't go without that butter. Yes, sirree. I don't know, a good toast and such. Oh, yeah. And they made it all pack in there. So, my dad, he was the master packer. He would pack everything into the back of our car. My mama was like, there's no way you're going to fit that in there. He's like, oh, yeah? Watch me. Boom, 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 boom. Her jaw dropped every single time. It's funny because I'm his son. So all of a sudden, I did the exact same thing. My wife said, there's no way you're going to pack all that in there. I said, oh yeah? Boom, 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 boom. Done deal. That's right. But if you mess up, you die in the West. No, not when you're packing in the back of your minivan. So whew, that's good. Okay, so once they got there, the work only just began. That's right. You get a big old piece of land. What are you going to do with it? First thing you got to do is build yourself a shelter, right? You can stay in your wagon, but come some Indians, you're not going to survive there. You can get in a cave. Well, yeah, you're basically cornered in there, too. You might as well build yourself a cabin. And you had to build it fast because, oh, wait a second, the winter's coming. Because everyone that's moving west can only go very slowly, even if you left in the spring when the rains are coming down, making the trails muddy. Yeah. You had to hope and pray that you could actually get to the site and set up a cabin before all of a sudden the snow comes. Or the rain comes. Either way. Okay, the next thing you had to do is find food. That's right, you had to start hunting, gathering, putting together a small garden patch. Whatever you could do to eat. You had to eat. That's right, you had to eat. People would go days without eating. Yeah. We could lose a little bit of lower weight right here, right? Yeah. So, them, no way. They were working hard all day long. Talk about exercise. Talk about sleeping well. Holy cow. By the time you hit the mattress, it could be the most almost horrible mattress, and you'd still fall asleep. Like, boom, done. You're so exhausted. You could barely be sitting up if you still fall asleep. Okay, what's another thing? Clothes. Yeah, that's right. You couldn't go to the store. You couldn't go to the Walmart or the mall. Or no, there's no Amazon. That's right. You had to make your own clothes. And if you had clothes, you had to make sure they lasted. Because if they got a tear, you would sew it. You know what sewing is? When you take a needle and thread, yeah, you sew it. They don't do these days. $10, you go to Walmart and you buy a pair of jeans. Holy cow. Okay, the other thing, neighbors. Yeah, your neighbors might be like 10 miles away, if you're lucky. They're not gonna be tattling on you to the fire department, trying to tell you that, hey, this person's burning building materials. They should be fined. Nope. So pioneers, kids. Oh yeah, that was another thing. Pioneers, kids. Those poor guys, they worked just as hard as the adults. There were no video games. There was no sleeping. No. If your dad was up. You were up. You were hauling water. You were feeding animals, plowing the fields, sometimes as young as the age of 7 or younger. Don't tell anyone. I was 5 years old when I started my paper route. That's right, I did. Actually, it wasn't my paper route at the time. It was my siblings. They didn't want to get up early and go deliver those papers. They made me do it. And then they didn't pay me that much for it. They collected the money. No, so I got to do that for a little while. And then my parents were like, that's not right. You need to give it to him. So I took over those routes. And they were mine at the age of 5. That's right. Anyone could do it. Okay. Going off another tangent. Sorry. Okay. Let's talk about school. Was there school? Rare. Whatever. School was not important. Survival was the most important thing. Plus, remember, if your neighbor's 10 miles away, how far is your school? 20, 30, 40 miles? No, there's no way you're going to school there. You're getting homeschooled. That's right. It's schooling inside your own house. If you were near a town, though, you could actually go out with other kids. But if you weren't, it was all homeschooling. If your parents had time, because they were still working their butts off. Literally. And all that fat on their butts, gone. Yeah, not the image you wanted, huh? And yet, people kept coming. Why? Because they thought it was tough. And they thought they were tougher. They could build something new, something better. They knew they had inspiration. They had motivation. They had more ation than basically we have a lot of times. Just saying. I mean, I'm a Southern boy, so whatever. Okay, so that's the first thing they had. That is the most important thing they had. They had spirit. They had grit, independence, and a dream for a better tomorrow. That is at the heart of every American frontiersman or pioneer that went out there. So, of course, we can't forget that this land wasn't empty. That's right. Native American tribes had lived there for generations. The arrival of settlers brought conflict, displacement, and tragedy on both sides. So that's the sad thing. America wouldn't be what it was, or what it is, if it wasn't for these sad stories of things that happened. But it's because we were able to make our way through it. And, I've already told you, my background is Cherokee and Andrew Jackson. So I'm a Cherokee who was displaced by my other grandfather. Whew. Talk about a family rivalry. Okay, so let's recap some of the things I've talked about already. Okay, first, the Louisiana Purchase was like a national power-up. That's right. Think of that. It was a power-up for the nation. Suddenly, the U.S. had room to grow. But with that came big questions. Who owned this land? What kind of country are you building? And how far should you go? So Lewis and Clark were the scouts. They mapped out this adventurous little place. Well, at least the northern part. Let's see. I got something here. Yeah, so the northern routes. And then this happened. What's this? This is what we call Oregon Trail. That's right. Oregon Trail is settlers going out and having things like dysentery. Oh, yeah, it means you're not getting off the toilet for a long time. You might even die. Sorry. That happens. Okay, but you have different people going all over the place. So there's one trail, starts at Independence, basically around where Lewis and Clark started, and it goes west, and it goes up and up and up into the Oregon country. Remember, we don't own Oregon. Oregon country. That's owned by British. But you know what? Seriously? It's the British. We've beaten them so many different times. At the same time, out of respect, we did actually figure things out later on. We'll go through that later on. Okay, so again, let's go back to this. Louisiana Purchase was a power-up. Basically doubled the size of the United States. Or, sorry, yes, yeah. Lewis and Clark were the scouts. They were able to go around mapping all these different things. The pioneers were the doers. They were the doers. They built lives with their bare hands, often in the face of hardship. Barely imagine it today. You can't imagine it. It's so bad what they went through, and yet they made it. Their legacy, it's in the roads. The roads that we drive today, the cities that we live today, the areas that we live today. That's it. That's all I got for you today. So, thank you for trekking through this untamed wilderness and early American history with me today. It was so much fun. So I got an action item, action question. Where would you be back at this time? Would you be back in the East Coast with all the fancy cities that are everywhere? Or would you be out here in Louisiana Purchase, moving your way west? I want to know. Put in your comments below. Please tell me. Nobody's doing it right now. Please be the first person to give me your comments, questions, thoughts. I want to hear them. Put them in the comments below or email me, Zach@historicalconquest.com. In the future, we're going to be talking about gold, greed, gravel, and such with the California Gold Rush. We're going to be talking about, let's see, slavery. That's coming up next. That is on Wednesday, so stay tuned. Slavery, compromise, and John Quincy Adams. What's he about? Well, he's the president, so that's pretty important. There's so much more to the story. Stay tuned. Thank you so much. Talk to you later. Bye. If you have any comments or questions, add them to the comments below. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow, actually. Take care. Bye.